Hey, we are back with another episode of Go Find Yourself. It's Monday, and if you can't tell, my co-host is back, Kiara.
Hi. I know you didn't miss me because you had a plethora of incredible guests.
Yeah, we almost replaced you, but we're happy to have you back.
Reasonable.
How was...
Who would you pick?
Huh?
Who would you pick?
Who would I pick for a co-host?
Yeah.
You know what? I have like so many personalities. I could probably just do it myself. I'll just be both personalities.
Do you think you could log on two different screens and like?
Maybe get two. I do have multiple computers here, so I could just. Yeah, that could be. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
The longest Roundup for me. Like none of the news. All the news is new to me because I was out of it. I went in touch grass for a very long time.
Yeah, you went to pay to live like you're homeless, which is kind of strange.
I didn't pay.
But, yeah, true. But anybody that knows me knows I don't love camping very much, and that's where Kiara was last week. Anyways, all right.
With purpose.
We got a bunch of stuff to cover today. What are we talking about?
Today's news feels a little bit silly to me because there's no like cohesive theme other than it was the weekend and there's news on the weekend. But maybe that's just because I've been out of touch. But FTX is trying to get money back from Shaquille O'Neal. So we're going to talk about that. And Lido had some sort of security issue. And a Bitcoin enthusiast in Wales is going to sue his city council. And then there's another crypto thief kind of thing. And then we'll talk about Korea Blockchain Week for a little bit because that's kind of cool.
All right. And Token 2049 is this week, so there's a whole bunch of people there. I'm having some serious FOMO because I'm not there this year, but I will not miss next year. I will tell you that with absolute certainty. Okay, I guess before we make everybody wait any longer, let's freaking go.
It's really good that we have that video so that we can participate in our vices for 30 seconds midstream because
we have a little pause, right?
We have a little pause and we're both like, I gotta vape and drink coffee and chew gum.
Speaking of coffee, I went and made one and then left it. Anyways, no coffee for me.
All right. Well, we'll go fast today so you can have a coffee. Okay, FTX.
Because I don't have enough coffee.
Did you have FTX news while I was away? Is FTX doing a bunch of dumb shit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're liquidating a bunch of assets. Apparently, they've requested the ability to liquidate assets from the bankruptcy and so on. And that obviously is causing some uncertainty in the markets. Not financial advice, but people are like, I've seen quite a few reports from many analysts in the space that are suggesting that this is one of those events that could, in fact, have an impact on the market short term, at least. And so we'll have to see how they do it. Generally, during bankruptcies, their goal is to maximize value. So they're not just going to go and like market sell all these assets, I suspect, but we'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, SBF, is now officially in jail. He had his bail revoked. So we were talking about that. But yeah, now they want moolah back.
They're trying to get money back from the various celebrities that they paid out as sponsorships. I don't really know how they would legally do that, but the names are big, right? Shaquille O'Neal and is it the Lakers?
I would assume
Golden State Warriors. It's the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Miami Heat. Trevor Lawrence. But it's not a little bit of money either. Like from Shaq, they're looking for $750,000.
Yeah, like the Miami Heat, it was FTX Arena. So they had naming rights of the arena, which is probably in the multiple hundreds of millions because I think it was a 5-year deal. And obviously they were paying for a service. So it's not like they just gave them money. I really doubt they're going to have a leg to stand on because that service was fulfilled, generally speaking.
And so some of those people, like Shaq, are facing other legal pursuit because they promoted an exchange that had unregistered securities. So they're already having legal fees. I don't think they're going to pay anything back to FTX. Like, I don't think it's a goodwill measure that's going to come out of that.
Well, I definitely don't think it's going to be good. What'll be interesting is whether they're forced to or not. That would set a hugely negative precedent for any of these sponsorship deals ever again, though.
Why would they be forced to? It's like contract law versus securities law.
No. I mean, if the courts say that they have to give back that money, if it's ruled that they have to pay it back, I mean, watch the dynamics of pricing for that change and to factor in the risk that it might get clawed back if any of the companies that advertise with you go bankrupt. I don't think they'll be able to. I don't think they'll be able to enforce it, but we'll have to see. Again, I'm of course not an attorney, and so
you like to hypothesize, though. I like to pretend I'm an attorney. I would have done really well in law school.
I have opinions. I'm not politically correct enough to be an attorney. I don't think.
I don't think they're very politically correct.
Sometimes. Anyways, so
doesn't matter. FTX continues the shenanigans. They'll never leave our news cycle.
Yeah.
Lido. Do you have money on Lido?
I do not have money on Lido, but a lot of people do. They're far and away the largest liquid staking provider in the space.
If you're staking ETH, you probably have it on Lido.
There's a pretty good chance.
Probably.
Yeah. I think they've got like 85 or 90% market share of ETH staking. It's quite a bit. But anyways.
Well, they had a fake deposit attack.
Apparently. Now they're saying that everything is fine. And the flaw has been fixed, but I don't know. I mean, that's what I would say too. I don't know if that actually has happened.
That's what I would say also.
Well, of course, I'd be like, yeah, stop taking your money out. It's all good. We've got it fixed.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. I think in these circumstances, maybe people would be a little careful what they say because there could be lawsuits and so on if they said everything's fine and it's not. We'll see.
So the thing that I thought was interesting is that they kind of tried to dissuade their own responsibility by saying that this is not unique to LDO, but exists in most ERC20 tokens. And I don't know, I always like to see people own up for things, even if it is not a problem that's unique to them, as opposed to ass flashing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that they addressed it is great, I think. And I mean, Lido has an incredible team. We compete against them in a few markets, but they have incredible leadership and really, really good engineering. Like, I mean, this is, again, a part of innovation. Like, we talk a lot about exploits and hacks and all this other stuff. This is an example of groups pushing the envelope and they're just being unknown risk vectors. This, in my opinion, is not a function of negligence or quick forking and not understanding what's going on. You know, this is one of the unfortunate but realistic things that happen in emerging technology. So I wouldn't stress too much about it, but
fine.
I don't have money there, so it's easy for me to stress about it. Easy for me to say.
Okay, I know that you have been drugged before, but have you ever accidentally thrown away your seed phrase?
Not that I know of.
No?
My seed phrases are pretty structured how I keep them from a security perspective. So I don't think
this hasn't been an issue for you. You haven't gone like dumpster diving for a Post-it note, or
I have not had to do that yet, thankfully. But there was a guy in the UK that thought he had 300 million. Is that the same guy? Yeah.
Well,
this is the same.
yeah, but it's not as much. 194 million. 194 million.
Now, it was more than that during the bull. This is a really
this is actually the same guy.
This is a really funny story. So go ahead. You can set it up and then we can.
No. You tell me the story from 2013.
Okay, so this guy, he didn't know in 2013 that he lost his seed phrase, as far as I know. I think he realized a couple of years later that he had thrown it out. So then he went dump diving. Like, he went to the dump, the landfill, and was like searching himself. And then he was trying to find people to like do it with him. Turns out he found a group that was willing to, I think, split the proceeds or something with him. And last I heard of it, prior to today, was they found it. Access.
No, that's a different guy.
Okay, so this is a different guy. So
that's a different guy.
That other guy, it turned out it was Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah.
He found it and it was Bitcoin Cash, so it was worth like 500 grand. So this other company had put all this money in, and it turns out he didn't even have the Bitcoin. Okay,
no.
I
this is a different dude.
This article.
This dude, it's been almost 10 years, I think, of him petitioning the Newport City Council to give him access to.
He hasn't even got
his
access
seed
to
phrase.
the dump.
He hasn't even got access to it. And he
Oh, yeah.
believes that he's lost 7,500 Bitcoin, so about almost 200 million right now. He lost it in 2013. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe he has it on a hard drive or something. I feel like my Post-it note would have deteriorated by now, but he's confident that he can go find the seed phrase. He's going to use X-ray technology and AI to locate the hard drive and is willing to cover all excavation costs. He also put together a team, but they won't let him into the dump. They won't do it. And
he's offered 25% of the
25% to Newport City Council. That's like, imagine that budget boost if you found it. And like, I don't know, there's probably some sort of insurance thing. This is why I hated living in the UK. This story is why I hated living in the UK.
I remember as a kid, I had a friend that lived down the street. This is kind of ridiculous, but I had a friend that lived down the street, and like we were definitely not super well off, but we weren't like super poor either. But his dad and him, they went to the dump every Saturday, and they walked around and just looked for cool stuff. And so I remember going to the dump, like kicking through piles of garbage and finding like bikes that just needed a new tire, or like, and we would come out of the dump with like a whole bunch of stuff in the back of the vehicle. Like it was ridiculous, like going to the literally someone else's garbage.
Like the most rural story you could have told, because this is also what I grew up doing. And I'm sure anyone from California is like, what are you talking about?
It's a very, it's a very rural experience, I think. Anyways,
we always had open access to the dump, right? Which is kind of a funny thing to consider when you now think about like professional waste management or anything like that, or not being allowed to go search for your item in Wales. I remember actually people losing stuff, like actually throwing things out, and they could narrow it down to the area that it had been thrown out on or thrown out in based on their route and that kind of thing. And you were allowed to go dig. And I guess probably insurance has changed and liability has changed. But you'd think you could make an exception. Maybe like he has an external funder. He could probably self-insure or something to that end. And then what if they got 25% of $200 million? Like that's not something for a city to scoff at.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, like, I hope he has the actual Bitcoins he thinks he has, but
God, yeah. Also that.
Who knows?
Anyway, if they don't grant him access by September 18th, he is going to try to sue them.
Yeah.
I look forward to continuing updating you on this story. That's it.
Hopefully he finds them. I like that. Those are feel-good stories when they find them.
Absolutely. Okay, so now on the other side, we do have the Department of Justice trying to target a crypto thief. Did you read about this?
Yeah. So this 16-year-old kid, I think, right? 16?
Yeah.
Teenager. He was young anyways. SIM swapped somebody and stole 5 million of their crypto. And the DOJ has figured out who it is. And apparently they have a co-conspirator. So this is a real thing. Like a lot of these phones now, especially in the US, I don't know if it happens in Canada yet, but in the US, if you have with the major carriers, they don't even give physical SIMs anymore. You get eSIMs.
Yeah. The
problem with that is anybody can swap an eSIM that works at AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile or whatever. Now, 99.999% of all the people that work there are honest and legitimate and don't, but it's that 0.001% of people that are willing to roll the dice. That sucks because they have access to those things. It's very simple to do. Usually when they say co-conspirator, I don't know if what it was in this case, but usually it's someone inside of a cell company and not even necessarily at their head office. Like it might be in one of their like one of their franchise locations or like, you know, eventually, but at the same time, I feel like technology today in 2023, like it's pretty easy to figure out who made the SIM changes.
How do you prevent yourself from being SIM swapped? Is there like some sort of security measure you can take?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if it's out in the wild, there is, right? You can have the protective cases and that kind of thing. But if you're...
Well, yeah, but like I've got my my eSIMs just turned off. So maybe like you have to physically SIM swap. And I never keep any assets on my phone anyway. So that's the other thing is like you should have a hardware wallet. Always. Like security is number one. We talked with our friends from Wallet Guard the other day.
Oh yeah.
And you know, that's what they're all about too, is just helping people understand. That's where I would go to figure out the SIM swapping and all that other stuff. They have so much education at Wallet Guard. So check them out. Oh, you know what? I didn't even talk about the merch today. We got too excited about your first day back.
What are you doing?
Tashi, they have a token sale coming up pretty quick, so that's kind of cool. Go check them out, see what they're up to. And also, quick reminder, we're a live show, Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We're on all the major venues. Like, share, subscribe, and bookmark us on Twitter, please. Super appreciate it.
This is a great segue into Korea Blockchain Week. Did you miss the 6th Korea Blockchain Week this year?
I did not, actually. And I haven't
That's
been
a long time.
I haven't been to a single one. And I'm starting to think that I need to make Asian stops a larger priority. Everybody that I know that was at Korean Blockchain Week said it was a lot bigger than last year. There was 6,000 people were there. It was quite engaging, apparently. And what did you read on this one?
Well, there were over 263 companies, which is kind of wild. Not surprising. If you have 6,000 attendees, you're going to have a varying amount of companies. But the way that I read it was that was kind of vendors and sponsors and people, like companies that were actually involved in the week itself. That's a lot. That's a ton of companies going to the Asian market. And of course, as we talk about in the crypto arms race, everyone is vying to be the crypto hub. And so this is part of Korea's stab at being the crypto hub. They had quite a focus on regulation and how welcoming the Asian market can be and how welcoming the Korean market can be. And honestly, I think it's just a good thing for, like, we live in the Americas, and it's a great place for American companies to go and see what kind of market share they can get. It's good for them to go and understand their client base better. I think it's just kind of a useful tool. And you get everyone from like Singapore and
we actually talked about this, I think, last week a little bit too, that Korea is a really good market actually for this. And it's also, they've been making some serious efforts at kind of unifying some regulation in the area, streamlining, how you can come into compliance and so on and so forth. And I think this is smart right now when, I mean, it sucks for us in the US, but it's smart from a competitive jurisdiction perspective, in that, I mean, highlighting the contrast between the uncertainty in the US and the certainty and relative ease with which you can be compliant here. I mean, it's working. They're getting guys like Gemini and I can't remember who the other one was last week. Gemini and someone else is already announced. Who was that? Why can I not find it now?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Anyways, either way, there's quite a few kind of Kraken. I know has a decent presence building over there. There's a lot of kind of American or Western focused companies that are now saying, hey, if Asia's going to play ball, there's a lot of people that are meaningfully interested. We talked last week also about sentiment in some of these Asian countries is very high. In Korea, actually, it wasn't as high as I expected it to be relative to some other nations. We talked about those facts and figures if you want to watch an episode from last week. But still, there's a lot of market opportunity over there. So we should all be there paying attention.
Well, other big market, as we know, is Avalanche. I know that we're both pretty bullish on Avalanche generally. But a couple of kind of cool things is that they actually have more developers right now than Polygon or Solana.
Yeah. It's Avalanche is now full transparency. I'm a fairly
we love Avalanche. Yeah.
I'm a fairly fan of Avalanche, and have been a fan and or a participant for years. So that's my bias. Now, Avalanche has always kind of been steady Eddie. They've never been super flashy. They've never been, the big hype ecosystem or anything. They just kind of go about their business and keep building. And seeing it from the inside, this is no surprise to me that they have an incredible uptick in developer activity, because the Avalanche blockchain technology is getting better and better and better. And it's, in my opinion, second to few, if any, currently in the space. So it makes sense. And they're spending a lot of time focusing on RWAs, real world assets, and bringing in enterprise and bringing in, private ecosystems for the subnets and all this stuff. So all of that to say, this is not surprising to me. It might be for a lot of people because their token price has been crappy. We reported last week, I think, or the week before, 95% of all AVX holders are underwater right now, which is crappy, obviously. But hopefully there's not as much sell pressure if everybody's at a loss right now. So anyways,
The thing
Avalanche,
about this is we always think of token price as the only indicator of success. But with Avalanche, they're also doing, like you said, real world assets, but they also are developing just utility on chain, right? Like that's why they partner with Deloitte, is because they're doing file management and that kind of thing. So I don't think the token is necessarily the best indicator of their success right now.
no, it's it's definitely not the best indicator of success. It's really just a leading indicator generally. Like if you look at the token price, and usually it's somewhat correlated with the success or how good the protocol is doing. In this particular case, I think they're a little bit disconnected. That's all.
But being bullish on a particular chain might not be relevant for that much longer. How cross-chain do you think we're going to get with like MetaMask snaps?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this for quite a while. That, oh my god, yeah, I've been saying this for a long time. Like the liquidity mining circus will come to an abrupt end at some point, and right now, there's, in my opinion, far too many L1s for the amount of users and value and volume we have in the space, and that has been. Probably it has been highlighted by these crazy, cyclical kind of liquidity mining initiatives. So it's very mercenary. We're doing this big campaign. We're going to give it a bunch of free money. Everybody goes, slops up that money, dumps everything, and then goes to the next ecosystem and so on and so forth. And the reason that was never going to be sustainable is one of the core tenets of blockchain technology is interop. That's one of the whole point. Like, a big piece of the 0 to 1 is interop and composability. That's the big innovation on top of what exists in Web 2 and TradFi. And so this is inevitable to me. There's more and more sophisticated cross-chain messaging protocols and bridges and different things, making it a lot better to do this and have some abstraction in the background. So you could be participating in very soon, already you can, but very soon you'll be able to participate in many ecosystems and never have to physically leave ETH with your wallet if you want. Like it's going to become that simple. And most of this user experience complexity will be abstracted away, I suspect, in the next few years. But again,
which of course is good for adoption, but not always good for the ethos. So
yeah,
it
really just depends how we roll it out, and what regulators allow and don't allow in North America and so on. But hopefully in the next few months we're starting to build a better understanding of what to expect here in the short term.
Yeah. That's it. Right. That is it was a pretty slow weekend, I think, which is good news, because then we have space to have a very busy week.
Yeah, I suspect there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out this week. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the market, so it'll be interesting to see, I think, what narrative we pick up on next. But, all right. So again, final reminder, live show Monday to Friday. If you can't tell by our banter, it is live. We don't cut it.
It's super live.
All the links will be under the video. Like, share, subscribe. Help us spread the word. And with that, today I say to you, Kiara, go FUD yourself.
Go FUD yourself.